You've been lied to your whole life about love. Not by your parents, not by movies, by yourself. And the worst part, you don't even know you're doing it. Here's the thing nobody wants to talk about. Most adults walking around right now are emotionally dependent on their partners. And I don't mean they love them. I mean they literally cannot feel okay about themselves without constant proof that someone else approves of them. They wake up needing validation. They go to bed worrying about rejection. And somewhere along the way, they forgot how to just be themselves. Alan Watts spent his entire life trying to explain why this happens, and more importantly, how to break free from it. So today, we're going to look at emotional dependence the way you would. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll never see your relationships the same way again. Let me paint a picture for you. You're in a relationship. Maybe you've been married for years. Maybe you're dating someone new. Or maybe you're single and desperately searching for the one. And here's what happens inside your head, whether you admit it or not. When they text back quickly, you feel good. When they take too long, you feel anxious. When they compliment you, you feel worthy. When they criticize you, you feel broken. When they pay attention to you, you feel alive. When they don't, you feel invisible. Now here's the question Alan Watts would ask you. Who is this you that feels all these things? And why does this you need someone else to tell it that it exists? See, most people think emotional dependence is about needing love. It's not. It's about needing proof. Proof that you're valuable. Proof that you matter. Proof that you're not alone in the universe. And that need for proof, that's where everything goes wrong. Let me explain this the way Watts would. He talked a lot about this idea that most of us walk around with what he called a hallucination. We believe we are separate, isolated little creatures, trapped inside a bag of skin. We look out at the world through our eyes like we're looking through windows, and everything out there, including other people, seems foreign, seems different, seems like it's not us. From this point of view, life feels like a battle. It's me versus the world, me versus my problems, me versus my own feelings. And in relationships, it becomes me versus the possibility of being alone. Now, when you feel like a separate little thing confronting a big, scary universe, what do you naturally do? You try to protect yourself. You try to feel secure. You try to find something or someone that makes you feel less alone. And this is where romantic relationships come in. You meet someone. You feel attracted to them. And suddenly, for a brief moment, that wall of separation seems to disappear. You feel connected. You feel whole. You feel like maybe, just maybe, you're not alone after all. But here's the trap. You start to believe that this other person is the source of that feeling. You start to think that without them, you'll go back to feeling empty, isolated, incomplete. So what do? You cling. You grip. You hold on for dear life. Because in your mind, losing them means losing yourself. This is emotional dependence. And Watts would say it's based on a fundamental misunderstanding of who you actually are. All right, let's go deeper. Because if you really want to understand why adults rely on partners for self-worth, you have to understand this concept that Watts talked about constantly, the illusion of the separate self. From the moment you were born, society started teaching you who you are. Your parents gave you a name. They told you what was good and what was bad. They praised you when you behaved a certain way and corrected you when you didn't. Teachers did the same thing. Friends did the same thing. The entire culture did the same thing. And over time, you built up this image of yourself. This mental picture of who you are. What you like. What you don't like. What you're good at. What you're bad at. Your strengths. Your weaknesses. Your personality. Watts called this the ego. But not in the way most people use that word. He didn't mean arrogance or pride. He meant this constructed sense of self. This imaginary boundary you've drawn between you and everything else. Now here's the problem. This ego, the sense of being a separate self, it's not actually real. It's a mental construct, a useful fiction, like drawing imaginary lines on a map to create countries. The lines are helpful for certain purposes, but if you actually walk across the land, you won't find any lines there. Similarly, if you actually look closely at yourself, at your body, at your mind, at your experience, you won't find any clear boundary between you and the rest of the world. You breathe in air that was just out there. You eat food that becomes you. You absorb information and ideas from other people. You exist as part of an interconnected web of relationships, processes, and events. But the ego doesn't see it this way. The ego insists on separation. The ego says, "This is me. That is not me. I need to protect myself. I need to survive." And when it comes to love and relationships, the ego gets terrified because the ego knows, on some level, that it's fragile. It's made up. It's not solid ground. So it desperately searches for something outside itself to validate its existence. This is why compliments feel so good. This is why rejection feels so devastating. When someone tells you they love you, the ego sighs with relief. I must be real. I must be okay. Someone out there confirms my existence. But the relief never lasts, because the ego always needs more. It's like trying to fill a bucket that has a hole in the bottom. No matter how much water you pour in, it keeps draining out. No matter how much love and validation you receive, the ego keeps demanding more proof. And so you become emotionally dependent. Not because you're weak, not because you're broken, but because you're trying to solve an unsolvable problem. You're trying to make a fiction feel permanent. Now let's talk about what happens when you cling to another person for your sense of self. Because Watts had a lot to say about this too. He pointed out that clinging is the opposite of love. Real love is open. Real love lets the other person be who they are. Real love doesn't need to control or possess or grip. But when you're emotionally dependent, you don't love the other person. You love what they give you. You love how they make you feel. You love the validation, the security, the sense of being okay that you get from their presence. And when you cling to someone like this, something strange happens. The very act of clinging pushes them away. It suffocates the relationship. It turns love into a transaction. I'll give you what you want if you give me what I need. And both people end up feeling trapped. Watts used a beautiful example to explain this. He talked about how if you try to grab water, it slips through your fingers. The tighter you grip, the more it escapes. But if you just let your hand relax and hold the water gently, it stays there. Relationships work the same way. The more you try to hold onto someone, the more you drive them away. The more you demand reassurance, the less reassuring it feels when you get it. Because you know, deep down, that you forced it. You extracted it. It wasn't freely given. And here's the really painful part. When you're emotionally dependent, you can never fully enjoy the love that's right in front of you. Because you're always worried about losing it. You're always calculating. Do they still love me? What if they leave? What if I'm not enough? You become so focused on securing the future that you miss the present. And ironically, the present is the only place where love actually exists. The past is gone. The future is imaginary. All we ever have is now. But when you're clinging, you can't be here now. You're too busy trying to hold onto something that hasn't happened yet. Watts would say this is a kind of madness. We sacrifice actual happiness in the present for imaginary security in the future. And the future never comes. It's always just about to arrive. So we spend our whole lives waiting for something that never happens, while ignoring the only moment we ever have. This is why so many marriages feel unfulfilling. Not because there's no love there, but because both people are so busy trying to secure the relationship that they forget to actually live in it. They're so worried about whether it will last that they don't notice it's happening right now. And for single people, the same pattern plays out in a different way. You're so desperate to find the one that you can't relax and enjoy getting to know people. Every date becomes a test. Every interaction becomes loaded with significance. Is this it? Is this the person who will finally make me feel complete? But no one can make you feel complete, because you're not actually incomplete. That's the whole point Watts was trying to make. The feeling of incompleteness is based on the illusion of separation. Once you see through that illusion, the desperate search for completion falls away naturally. Okay, so we've talked about the illusion of the separate self. We've talked about how clinging destroys love. But where does all this come from? Why do we end up this way in the first place? What's traced it back to childhood? Not in a blaming way. He wasn't interested in pointing fingers at your parents, but he recognized that from a very young age, we're trained to seek external approval. Think about it. As a child, you were constantly being evaluated. Good boy. Bad girl. You did well. You didn't do well. Your entire sense of being okay was tied to how the adults around you responded to you. And here's the thing. This wasn't evil or malicious. It's just how our culture works. We train children through reward and punishment. We praise them when they do what we want. We criticize them when they don't. And over time, the child learns that their value depends on external validation. This becomes deeply wired into the nervous system. By the time you're an adult, you don't even question it anymore. Of course my value depends on what others think of me. Of course I need to perform well to be worthy of love. Of course I need to be approved of to feel okay. But here's what's understood. This is a learned pattern, not an inherent truth. You weren't born needing external validation. You learned to need it. And what is learned can be unlearned. The problem is that most people never even realize there's something to unlearn. They go through their whole lives thinking that emotional dependence is just part of being human. They think, of course I need my partner to validate me. That's what love is, isn't it? But what's would say no? That's not love. That's fear wearing the mask of love. That's the terrified ego desperately seeking reassurance. Real love looks nothing like that. He talked about how truly loving people seem to radiate love naturally, like the sun gives off heat. They don't love in order to get something back. They don't love because they need to be loved in return. They just love. It flows out of them effortlessly. And the key insight here is that you can't fake this. You can't force yourself to be unselfish while still feeling like a separate, scared little ego. That would just be adding another layer of pretense on top of the original problem. Instead, what needs to happen is a shift in understanding. You need to see through the illusion. You need to realize, at a deep level, that you're not actually the separate self you think you are, that the boundaries you've drawn are imaginary, that you're actually part of the whole thing, not apart from it. When this shift happens, something remarkable takes place. The desperate need for external validation begins to dissolve, not because you've suppressed it or conquered it, but because you've seen through the lie it was based on. You realize you were never separate in the first place. You were never incomplete. The search for completion was based on a misunderstanding. So here's the big question. How do you actually make this shift? How do you move from emotional dependence to genuine freedom? And this is where what differs from most self-help advice. He wouldn't give you a 5-step program. He wouldn't tell you to practice positive affirmations or visualize your ideal self, because all of that still reinforces the ego. It's the ego trying to improve the ego. It's the separate self trying to fix the separate self. Instead, the more you try to control everything, the more it slips away. But when you let go, when you stop struggling, something surprising happens. Life comes to you. Think about breathing. If you try to hold your breath, you lose it. But if you let it go, it comes back naturally. Relationships work the same way. Happiness works the same way. Even your sense of self works the same way. The moment you stop desperately trying to be somebody, you relax into just being. And in that relaxation, you discover something amazing. You were okay all along. You were always whole. You were always complete. The feeling of lack was just a story you were telling yourself. Now I want to be clear here. This isn't some magical transformation that happens overnight. It's not about having one big insight, and then you're free forever. What's talked about it more as a gradual awakening. You start to see through the illusion, little by little. You catch yourself clinging, and you relax a bit. You notice your desperate need for validation, and you question it. And over time, something shifts. Not because you forced it to shift, but because you've stopped forcing. You've stopped resisting your experience. You've stopped trying to be someone other than who you are in this moment. This is what's called the wisdom of insecurity. Most people think security comes from controlling things, from having guarantees, from knowing what the future holds. But real security comes from accepting that there are no guarantees, from embracing the uncertainty of life, from realizing that the search for security was the very thing creating insecurity. When you stop demanding that your partner make you feel okay, something interesting happens in the relationship. There's space now. There's room for both of you to breathe. You can enjoy each other without the pressure of needing each other to survive emotionally. And paradoxically, this is when real intimacy becomes possible, because you're no longer using the other person. You're actually seeing them. You're actually meeting them. Two complete beings coming together, rather than two incomplete fragments desperately trying to form a whole. All right, I know what some of you might be thinking. This all sounds nice, but how does it actually apply to my life? I'm in an unhappy marriage, or I keep attracting the wrong people, or I can't stop feeling needy in relationships. Fair enough. Let me try to translate Watts's wisdom into something more practical. First, notice when you're seeking validation. Just notice it. You don't have to stop doing it. You don't have to judge yourself for it. Just become aware. Oh, there I go again, fishing for a compliment. There I go again, checking my phone to see if they texted back. There I go again, feeling worthless because they didn't respond the way I wanted. This awareness is powerful, because once you see something clearly, you can't unsee it. And when you see yourself playing these games, they start to lose their grip on you. Not because you've conquered them, but because you've illuminated them. Darkness can't survive in light. Second, question the assumptions. When you feel that desperate need for validation, ask yourself, who is it that needs this validation? Where is this separate self that feels incomplete? Look for it. Really look. You'll find thoughts. You'll find feelings. You'll find sensations. But you won't find solid, separate self that needs saving. This is what Watts meant when he said trying to define yourself is like trying to bite your own teeth. The you that's looking can never be found because it's doing the looking. And when you realize this, the whole game changes. Third, practice letting go in small ways. You don't have to renounce your relationship or abandon your desire for love. Just practice loosening your grip a little bit. When you want to text them for the 5th time today, wait. Not because it's wrong to text, but because you're curious what happens when you don't follow the urge. When you want to demand reassurance, pause. See if you can sit with the uncertainty for a moment. This isn't about suppressing your needs. It's about investigating them. It's about discovering that you can survive moments of uncertainty, that the world doesn't end when you don't get immediate validation, that you're actually okay even when you're not sure if you're okay. Fourth, become comfortable with being alone. Watts talked a lot about solitude, not loneliness. That's different. Loneliness is the painful feeling that something is missing. Solitude is simply being with yourself without needing anyone else to make you feel complete. If you can't be alone with yourself, you'll never be able to have a healthy relationship, because you'll always be using the other person to escape yourself. You'll always be running from the emptiness you feel when no one else is there. But when you learn to enjoy your own company, when you discover that you're actually quite interesting to be with, something shifts. You stop approaching relationships from a place of lack. You start approaching them from a place of fullness. I'm already whole, and I want to share my wholeness with you. Fifth, stop requiring love as a duty. Watts was very clear about this in his advice to married couples. Never pretend to love when you don't actually feel it. And never demand love from your partner as an obligation, because love given out of duty isn't really love. It's just performance. This is scary advice, I know. Because what if you stop pretending and there's nothing real there? Well, Watts would say, at least then you know the truth. And truth, however painful, is the only foundation for real love to grow. Let me take this even deeper now. Because Watts wasn't just talking about having better relationships. He was talking about a fundamental shift in how you experience being alive. When you're emotionally dependent, you're basically living in prison. Not a physical prison, but a mental one. You've made your happiness contingent on things outside your control. Other people's opinions, other people's moods, other people's choices. Think about how fragile that makes your well-being. At any moment, someone could say the wrong thing and your whole day is ruined. At any moment, someone could leave and your whole identity crumbles. Watts pointed out that this is a form of giving away your power. Not in some mystical sense, but in a very practical sense. You've handed the keys to your emotional life to someone else, and now you're at their mercy. But here's the good news. If you gave the keys away, you can take them back. Not by becoming cold or withdrawn, not by building walls around your heart, but by realizing that you never needed anyone else to give you what you already have. You already have awareness. You already have this present moment. You already have the capacity to experience life fully. These things aren't given to you by your partner. They're not taken away when your partner leaves. The sun doesn't need validation to shine. The river doesn't need approval to flow. And you don't need someone else's love to be a complete human being. Now, does this mean you shouldn't want love? That you shouldn't desire companionship? Not at all. Watts wasn't against relationships. He was married several times himself. He valued intimacy and connection. But there's a difference between wanting something and needing something to survive emotionally. There's a difference between enjoying companionship and being unable to function without it. When you approach relationships from a place of want rather than need, everything changes. You become more attractive, for one thing, because neediness is exhausting to be around. People can feel when you're using them. They can sense when your love is really just a disguised form of taking. But when you come to a relationship as a full person, offering love without strings attached, people respond differently. They feel safe around you. They feel free to be themselves. And ironically, they're often more likely to stay. Because they're not staying out of obligation or guilt. They're staying because they genuinely want to be there. This is the paradox Watts loved to point out. By letting go of your grip on love, you make space for real love to emerge. By accepting that you might lose what you have, you become able to fully enjoy what you have. It's like the old Taoist principle. The way to gain is to lose. The way to have is to let go. The way to find yourself is to stop seeking. So let's bring this all together. What would Alan Watts say about emotional dependence if he were sitting in front of you right now? I think he'd say something like this. You've been searching for yourself in all the wrong places. You've been looking for completion in another person's eyes. You've been trying to fill a hole that isn't actually there. The sense of being a lonely, separate, incomplete self is not the truth of your existence. It's a learned pattern, a social conditioning, a useful fiction that has outlived its usefulness. You are not a little creature trapped inside a bag of skin, fighting against the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself from a particular point of view. You are connected to everything and everyone, even when you feel alone. And when you realize this, not just intellectually but deep in your bones, the desperate search for validation falls away. The clinging falls away. The fear falls away. What remains is the simple joy of being alive, the simple pleasure of connection with others, love without chains, intimacy without possession. He'd probably also say something like this. Don't make this into another project of self-improvement. Don't turn this wisdom into a new cage. The whole point is to relax, to stop struggling, to let life be what it is. If you're emotionally dependent right now, that's okay. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just notice it. Get curious about it. Ask yourself where this need comes from. And maybe, just maybe, you'll start to see through the illusion. The relationships in your life, the marriage you're in, the dating scene you're navigating, none of it has to change externally for you to find freedom. Freedom is an inside job. It comes from seeing clearly, not from rearranging your circumstances. And here's the beautiful thing. When you find this inner freedom, your external relationships often improve naturally because you stop poisoning them with your neediness. You stop suffocating them with your clinging. You allow them to breathe. Some relationships might end, it's true, when you stop pretending. Some connections reveal themselves to be based on nothing but pretense, and those need to go. Make room for something real. But other relationships will deepen in ways you never imagined, because for the first time, you're actually showing up. Not a needy version of you, not a performing version of you, just you, complete, whole, alive. And if you're single and searching, stop searching. Not in the sense of giving up on love, but in the sense of giving up on the desperate pursuit. Let love find you. Trust that when you're ready, When you're full, when you're not looking for someone to complete you, the right person will appear. Alan Watts lived his life pointing to this freedom. He wasn't perfect. He had his struggles, his contradictions, his human flaws. But he saw something clearly that most of us miss. He saw that we're all trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist. We're trying to find ourselves when we were never lost. We're trying to become whole when we were never broken. We're trying to be loved when love is already what we are. And maybe, just maybe, that's the only insight you need. Not a technique, not a program, not a method. Just the simple recognition that what you've been searching for was here all along. If this helped you see your relationships differently, subscribe for more.